Good morning, and what do I have here? What did I buy? And maybe, why should you buy this too? Is this something that you should have? And I think it is, so that's why I wanted to talk about it with you here today. And so, welcome to Goose Pond Hideout, and I'm Rob. So, as you know, if you watched some of my past videos recently here, but we had a big power outage. A truck or tractor or something tore down our power line crossing the road, coming over to the our pole on our side of on our property. And it's something that I've been thinking about, having a backup power system. But of course, you procrastinate and put it off, and focusing on other tasks and things. And as I've mentioned before, I studied alternative energy, solar energy, passive solar, active solar, and all that back in the 1970s when I was in high school and in college. Of course, it was way different back then, the analog world. And, we lived on a sailboat for 9 years, and so we, had to power ourselves a lot doing that. And we moved to the homestead here, and we debated about getting solar power or whatever, and we just put it off. So we lost our power, and that really jump started me and said, hey Rob, you better be thinking about what you're going to do when you got a freezer full of food and things like that, power in your devices. So I jumped online and started doing the research, and I bought this little unit here to practice with, to kind of play and see what's out there in the world today and figure things out. And I'm glad I did, because I learned a lot with having this small unit here. And this is the EcoFlow. Is it turned down there? Yep, it's running. EcoFlow Delta 2, and it's 1,024 watts, so we'll call it 1,000 watts. And I purchased it from Amazon. So, your favorite, everybody carries them, so, shop around. And that's a big thing is, I don't know, what I do is, like, I go to Amazon and I look at stuff, and they know what you're browsing, right? They know what you're looking at. And every 2 or 3 days, I go back and look at it again. I might even put it in my cart and save it for later and keep checking on it. And I almost always get offered a deal. And this unit, it's been out a few years, because they have the Delta 3s now and other models and things. But this small EcoFlow Delta 2, 1,000 watts, yeah, it's been out several years. And the list price was right around $1,000, $999. I think when it originally came out, it was $1,099. But, $999, $1,000. And back in January, when I bought this, most places were selling it for $699. Amazon had I got my paper here and I don't have my glasses on. So $999, and Amazon was selling it in January, the middle of January, for $699. They had a $250 coupon, and then, like what I said, I keep, I browse and I look at it and I put it in my cart and I save it for later. And then they offered a promotion, one of those things like flash sales. They put the little timer up there. You got 5 hours to buy this item, and then it goes back to the regular price kind of thing. And that was $70. So I got this for $379. $379. I mean, to me, that's a no-brainer. To have for a backup. Excuse me. Is I mean, you can't come close to putting anything together on your own for $379. A good battery will cost you that. And this has the lithium iron battery in it, good for, I think, something like 3,500 cycles to 80%. So if you ran this unit, if you charged it up and discharged it to zero, and charged it up and discharged it to zero every single day, it'd last you 10 years. $379 for 10 years of backup power. Again, kind of a no-brainer. And so when I bought this, I had plans of expanding it. They make it looks just like this, but it's a backup additional battery, and it doesn't have anything. I mean, it has the screen on it, but there's you know, all it does is plug into this unit. It just has an out plug. There's no outlets or anything on that, but it doubles the power to 2,000. And I was thinking of doing that. So, and I'm glad I didn't, and I'll explain why in a couple seconds here. But, you know, it's got your screen on the front, which your display. You've got USB ports here, so you can, you know, plug your phone and stuff like that into it. And that's all that's on the front. And that's kind of one of my complaints about this is, and it weighs 27 pounds, so it's not too heavy. And it's got these big, nice handles on it. The AC outlets are on the back. Then you got a 12-volt outlet here. And then this is your inputs, your solar input, your AC input, and that's just a reset button there. So your solar, your AC if you want to put a cord into the wall to keep it charged, and then there's your outlets. So I end up crawling on the floor with my headlight on, you know, trying to get a plug in the back of this thing, because it's down on the floor and it's dark. So what I've ended up doing is I just have an extension cord plugged into it all the time, and I just use that so I don't have to crawl around behind it to plug. So I wish the plugs were on the front, and the bigger later units do have plugs on the front. But again, this is just a tiny backup. And you know, another thing that is common to all of these units, whatever brand, you know, Jackery, Blue Eddy, or however you pronounce them, Anchor, what, all of them, is the solar input is kind of lame, in my opinion, kind of weak. They're not really designed for that. And for example, this unit here, the solar input is set to, you've got a 60 volt limit and a 15 amp limit. And if you know your algebra there for watts, volts, and amps, is volts times amps is your watts. So 60 times 15 is 900. And I thought, well, that's pretty good. I mean, this thing holds 1,000. So if I buy the backup battery for another 1,000, and I can, you know, charge it up with solar panels, that'll be a pretty good little backup system to have around the house. But this thing is limited to 500 watts solar input. So, you know, I mean, unless you buy a 500 watt panel, like, and I'll talk about it in a future video. I want to focus on this today. But, you know, I've got 400 watts. So a battery that's just a brick that's attached to this to double the capacity from 1,000 to 2,000 really doesn't make sense, because if I can only put 400 watts into it, you know, 4 hours a day, at best, you know, you might get a little more on a really nice sunny summer day, or, you know, that's 4 times 400 is 16, so you can't even charge up your 2,000 watts. And then, this is really interesting, is the battery, the additional brick battery that just plugs into this with the cord and has no features of its own. You can't even charge it on its own. It's got to be attached to this to charge up. Is the current price, I looked at it, I went to Amazon this morning before I came out here, and the additional battery to double the capacity is $449 on Amazon. And you can buy this unit today on Amazon for $414. So why would you pay $449 for a battery brick when you could pay less money and get the entire unit that you could plug into the wall, hook up solar panels to? You could have one of these in your bedroom and one of them in your kitchen, you know, running a cooktop or something. So that just makes more sense to me. So I would strongly advise you to, you know, think about that. Don't poke yourself in the eye while you're thinking. And, you know, that just makes more sense to me, right? Let me know what you think. Now again, this is 1,000 watts. So, you know, you're not going to run big devices for very long. And it's just, you know, keep your phone and maybe your laptop charged. You know, if you want to cook something in the kitchen, we bought a Cuisinart hot plate, and the small hot plate draws 500 watts. But I mean, think about that. 2 hours, you've used up all your battery. So, you know, use proper tool for the proper job. And this is highly portable because it's got these 2 nice handles on it, and it only weighs 27 pounds. So you can lug it around in your house, out to your garage, your barn. You can take it in your car, you go camping. You know, maybe you've got an off-grid, you know, getaway property. You can take it with you there and have one of them fold-up solar panels just to, you know, get a little bit of charge in it, keep your phones charged up, and run a light and a hot plate and, you know, things like that. So it's just not meant to do a lot, and it really isn't meant to be charged and used with solar. It's primarily that you plug it in the wall and charge it up, and then if you have a power outage, you're good to go. So those are the kinds of things to be thinking about. And I really, I'm happy that I bought it. I like it. I've learned a lot with this, and I'm going to get, you know, a bigger system for the house down the road. I'm going to talk about what you can use this for and show you the solar panels and things like that in an upcoming video. So be hanging around for that, watch for that, and definitely, you know, jump onto your favorite online site. Probably Walmart probably sells them. I mean, Home Depot does and things like that. And I would absolutely recommend getting one of these units for 400 bucks and just having it ready to go for the just in case, right? Because it's all about having freedom on the homestead. Go get one of these now.